just so grateful, obviously, to President Trump, the administration, Alice Johnson, just everyone within the pardons office. Alice obviously came on my podcast a year and a half ago, I think, before she ever even got the role. And what I respect about her is she's not in the art of giving favors. Neither is President Trump. And when she got the role, she looked into our case. They saw the injustices. The media loves to run with this $30 million scheme without doing the research to look into the documents. And there was no $30 million scheme. But I just appreciate the administration looking into it and seeing the faults within our case, the corruption, and just the weaponization of the DOJ. So we are just so excited and moving forward. Obviously, getting them home the past 2.5 years, I have fought. Like, that was my number one priority, was getting my parents home. But now that they're home, now we move on to all the other men and women that are in the system and getting them home. And I know we're going to continue to work. We're going to be in D.C., and Mom and Dad are now along for the ride because we're not leaving those men and women behind. There's too much work that needs to be done. There's too much reform that needs to be done. So we're just super excited.
What was the reunion like, though, first night?
Yes, I think for me, obviously I went to pick up my dad. And when he walked out, it was just such an overwhelming feeling because the last time I was there, I was dropping him off and watching him walk away. So I think watching him walk towards me, I was an absolute disaster. And we left there and it was amazing. And I FaceTimed my friend Margot, who works within the administration, and she goes, "Hold on a second." She was like, "I'm here with the president." And we got to FaceTime the president. And it was a full circle moment.
Hey guys, well, welcome home, Todd.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I know this has been a big journey for you and for you, Savannah. What is one thing that happened behind the scenes that maybe you want the public to know and to understand?
You want to go first?
I think, obviously the biggest misconception right now is that I either paid for a pardon or slept for a pardon.
That's something I would
that's the biggest misconception right now. And if people knew the countless hours and the money and the time that I spent going to DC, literally with not a meeting scheduled, and I just got on a plane and went and said, I'm going to be in the right room at the right time and meet the right people. I fought hard and I was exhausted and I begged for meetings. There was nothing I was never too good to ask. And that's the thing is people think, oh, you're a celebrity, you're white, you have money, that we got an upper hand, and we didn't. I had to fight and I was relentless, and that's how it happened. Finally, people listened. So for me, that would be something that people just don't quite understand.
I think for me, watching it all unfold and listening to what she said that was coming up next, and just being consumed with pride while at the same time knowing that this is a long shot because so many people are told no. And being in the prison system, anyone that says that it's a fair shake, it's not. Because I dealt with young African-American males in the prison that I was in that were not treated the same. They were denied programming. They were denied access to certain things. I was not denied that, but we know why I wasn't denied that. And so I think that is a much bigger picture that we all as a society as a whole need to look at, that we are one. And whether you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever, at the end of the day, when you're in that hospital, you don't care if it's a Democrat treating you or a Republican. Now, some of you may, but I want whoever's going to be the best person to do that.
What were both of your first reactions to the part where you just shocked? And looking forward, tell us, your return to television, this docuseries. Can you tease what it will be like in nature, what the focus will be? Tell us about that.
I mean, when I got the call, like I said, I was walking into the grocery store and I stopped in the parking lot. I was like, what do I do? I was like, okay, go back to my car. And so I sat in my car and had that phone conversation that's online with President Trump. And I was in such shock. I really didn't know what to say. I started crying. Grayson was with me and we're like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening. And I really don't even remember driving home. Like, I was in such shock. And I then was able to talk to my parents and tell them what had happened, but it had already kind of spread like wildfire because President Trump's team posted the video and tagged it Trump Knows Best, which, I loved. But it spread like wildfire. And when they called, they're like, is this really real? Oh my, like, it was so hard to believe that it was actually happening.
I had a staff member that came to me and said, "You've just been pardoned." And I just looked at him and he said, her, and she said, "It's true, it's true." So I remember walking back from the phone and just feeling numb, not really knowing. And then after about 10 minutes, all I could think about was the guys that I was leaving behind, because I had made such wonderful relationships with those men. And when I left that day, there was only 317 men at our camp, but they were lined up shouting when I was walking out. And they were saying, "Don't leave it, don't forget us, don't forget us." And my commitment is to them that I will never forget them.
And how about the docuseries?
Yeah. So we had been filming, and we had just wrapped filming for all intents and purposes. And then we get the call that they had been pardoned. So we picked right back up, and we're excited because I think this new show is going to first off, it's going to give people a look into the trial and things that we went through, and we're going to set the record straight, put some documents out there. Alex is on there, but it comes full circle because we go back and then we get to the point where mom and dad are pardoned, and now we move forward with our lives. And I know for me personally, now I get to be a normal 27-year-old, almost 28. And so my goal, it's like we were talking last night, it's like I'm traveling to 30 countries by the time I turn 30. But going to DC is going to I will be there a lot more, because now I hope to work with the Federal Bureau of Prisons and Billy Marshall and help them expose the corruption, because he has vowed to hold people accountable if there has been abuse and corruption to occur. So I'm extremely excited for that, and to work with some organizations, put bills in front of Congress, especially for women who are incarcerated. So that's kind of our goal. And then obviously they've already got all the offers rolling in, so it's going to make life so much easier. You'll see him on quite a few different shows, I have a feeling. So one more question, and then I think
Can Todd confirm that you will be a part now of the second portion of the series?
We are.
Yep.
Yeah. We started filming literally the night that we got home.
As soon as we got home. So I think with this new series, you will see the first time he and mom see each other for the first time. It took 7 years to issue a formal indictment.
Exactly.
So the investigation was going on for almost a decade. And when you look at it, our judge was the youngest African-American female appointed by Obama. So she allowed so many things to come into trial with the Fourth Amendment violations, and magistrate judge ruled that all the evidence must be thrown out because it was obtained illegally. So we don't know if stuff was planted. Mark Braddock was involved. He got full immunity from the government. So the whole trial was just messy and tainted. And when the magistrate judge ruled that evidence was not allowed in, the Obama appointed judge said, "Nope, I don't care. We're allowing it all in."
And with an email that said, "We need to catch a big fish." And the response was, "Well, Todd Chrisley is the biggest fish in Atlanta right now."
And I think it's also important to note that the Office of Inspector General ruled in our favor in their documents, that in their investigation, that stated, "We agree that the Chrisleys were unfairly targeted." We substantiate
due to their celebrity status.
Yes, we substantiate the Chrisleys' claims that they were unfairly targeted. So at the end of the day, I will sit and say, as his daughter, I believe in law and order. If I believe that my parents did exactly what they were accused of doing, then yes, you
have a consequence.
You have a consequence for it. Do I think the consequence should have been 12 years? No, I do not. That's not even a fair sentence if it was true. But I know in my heart of hearts it was not true. I caught these prosecutors in so much misconduct, speaking to the judge, having ex parte communications. And
this is in writing.
It is in writing. Alex exposed the emails. So I think at the end of the day, if you want a conviction, then have a clean conviction.
And to go back to your question about it being a Trump administration, it was a Biden administration that the OIG issued the report under that said that we were targeted.